You can use Nearpod to differentiate instruction with students. One way to do this is to duplicate a deck and add either scaffolds or supports in that deck for students who need it. Um, and that's how you could differentiate one way within Nearpod. So to do that, to create a second deck, you would find one that you either have created yourself or maybe you searched in the Nearpod library and you found one. But this one I found with adding subtracting within 10. I quite liked. So I'm going to click on these three dots in the corner here, and I'm going to click on duplicate. So that's going to make an exact copy of that deck and put it in my Nearpod library. You can see that it's another version because it has this one in parentheses. I'm just going to edit that and write version 2. Once that's done, I can go in and add my supports. One way you could add supports is, this is adding in with a 10 frame. I might want to add a support to give students a hint about what they might need to do to complete the task. So what I could do is I could add another activity here. One of the things that you can add are math manipulatives. Now, these color tiles might work really well for modeling 10 frame. So I'm going to click add here. Okay. And I might say using the 10 frame model 2 plus 1. Next thing I'm going to need is a 10 frame. So I'm going to go to image here, search 10 frame. It looks great. So I'll click on save. Slaps it right in there. That's good. Okay. Now, I can, depending on what the scaffold or the hint that students might need is, I have my 10 frame. I don't know. I can start to model the different hints that I might give kids. So, for example, I could place 2 red squares in, and then I could use add some audio to this slide right here, and say there are 2 red boxes in the 10 frame. I would need to move one more red box in to model 2 plus 1, or one more blue box, however you wanted to model that for kids. Probably the other way. So I'll try one more time. So let's see here if I click the right one. There are 2 red boxes in the 10 frame. If I place one more to model 2 plus 1, what color would I use? And I might use, that might be the hint I want to give kids. I can click save. Okay. I could also come back and just place this in here, right, like that. And I could say, my feedback here could be something like this. Notice my 10 frame has 2 red squares and 1 blue square to model 2 plus 1. Go back and check to see if your 10 frame is set up in a similar way. So that might be a better scaffold for this question, right? You get to decide what the scaffold or that differentiation is for those students. Once you've clicked save, that activity will go in, but it's going to go at the end. And you're going to want to move that back up to where you found it. And mine was around 24. Let me just move this up to 24. So now I can say when after the students complete 24, they'll see my example on 25. They can go back to 24 and check out theirs. And you can continue to add these different types of scaffolds and for the students in your classroom who would get this deck. Now, the magic happens when you've got 2 versions of the deck, and a lot of times people use Nearpod at the front of the classroom, but Nearpod also has something called student paste mode. When you turn on student paste mode, it gives you a code. You would copy this link and then go and paste it into Google Classroom, either in the stream or an assignment, for just and then use your Google Classroom settings to send it to just the kids who need the differentiated version. Then you can send a different version or a whole version, the unedited version, to the other group of students in your room using the same features and settings in Google Classroom to make sure that different kids in your classrooms get different sets. They're working toward the same goal, but they might have different features or different slides or activities added into their slide decks depending on what they needed for that lesson. And that's how you might use Nearpod to differentiate instruction.